It's often said that as a car is in production for longer and longer, the production and the quality gets better and better. Well, the current Ford Ranger has been around for quite a while, and I think we all know there is a new one coming, probably late 2022. But in typical fashion of the later days of a model, Ford have been bringing us many special editions over the last while. And this is the latest one, called the StormTrak, based on the Wildtrak version, but with lots of touches and flair. And immediately, you cannot exactly miss the red accents on either side of the grille, can you? They really do stand out. It's got that mean face that the Ranger has got. It's got striping on the bonnet over here. You can see it's difficult to pick up the black striping on the almost black car, but it's there. Extra striping. May not sound like a lot, but it's there. You come around, of course, you've got all the typical Ranger touches. You've got nice big black 18-inch mag wheels over here. Lots of clearance in the wheel arches, of course, because this is a 4x4 version, and that's important. You can see this is built if you want to go off-road as well. And there's your StormTrak legend. Very important, of course. You've got roof rails on top over there, although I'm not 100% sure how usable they are, but they're there. And of course, it is still the pretty familiar Ford Ranger double cab body and bucky. Nice big step to step up in, of course, into the back of the cab. Definitely lots of space in the rear here, which is very important and definitely very useful, of course, and all the room I need, that's for sure. But I'm going to move across and say bring the camera over here, and this is important because what they have added down there is connectivity for you, as well as a 12-volt socket. So you've got all your connectivity, your 12-volt, all over there to make sure, of course, that your modern user and family user, because these are leisure family buckies, that's what it's become, and so importantly, that everybody's got what they need. Let's take a look over here. You've got Isofix in the back now, which is a good feature, and of course you've got black leather with nice red detailing and stitching. Again, the red. Don't have to say too much more about that. Well, that's the back seat. Jump out over here and we'll move along. Of course, you've got again what Ford term the sport bar at the back over here. Very prominent and very useful in some ways. And then you've got a feature which is very interesting and very useful, which has suddenly become a popular feature on a lot of buckies now on top range. When I take the key fob and I press the button at the bottom twice, and there you open your roller shutter, which of course gives you security for the buck. The other thing, of course, on the Rangers is the very light pivoting tailgate. Doesn't take any effort. And then Ford, of course, on this one do give you what they call the load divider in the center over there. You can see it. Now this has its pros and cons in the same way that the roller shutter has pros and cons. It's very useful if you want to separate items, especially sports kit or things like that, remembering the lifestyle aspect. So keep that in mind. But it does limit if you're trying to put a load on the back. Between that load divider and the roller shutter, which of course limits your height of the load you can carry, you've got to keep that in mind if you're going to use this for any level of working. But you just pop that closed. Of course, you've got reverse cameras, you've got tow bars, you've got all these things as standard and very much as you'd expect. Now, based on the top model, the StormTrak is powered by Ford's 2-litre turbo diesel engine, 157 kilowatts, 500 newton meters of torque. Plenty of grunt as well, for whether it's on-road, open road, or off-road use. Doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Obviously, in a vehicle like this, whether you on a field, off-roading, or on the road, doesn't really make that much difference, does it? Because it can handle them all, it can do it all. It doesn't make any difference in my life, that's for sure. And as far as I'm concerned, you can drive it anywhere and everywhere you want, because that's what these vehicles are actually made for, and that's what they're built for. So you choose, where do you want to go? Now let's get onto the road a little bit, and let's play on road and just drive for a few moments on the road and see what it feels like in the StormTrak. Of course, the engine's got all the grunt, all the power you can want, and the suspension, the latest double cabs, all of them, the rear suspension has just become so much better, so good relative to the old days, can I call it. These are not buckies anymore. These are default luxury cars, I always call them, and they really do the job. You can drive this one in comfort for as long as you want, as far as you want, and wherever you want, and you're certainly not going to suffer any hardship on road. And it's also pretty light and easy to drive, considering what it is, and the size and the power and everything else. Coming in behind the wheel, the fuel consumption I'm showing you is not reflective of the entire test we've done. We've done a lot more than that 156 kilometers showing, but it was an open freeway cruise and urban driving showing 9.6 liters per 100. So I'd say that's about the worst you're going to show on this vehicle, but it does give you an idea. So keep that one in mind for yourself over there. The bottom line over here is it's very simple, very similar to what you get, but there's one little graphic I want to show you over there, and that is it has got active braking, and you've got the radar distance to the vehicle in front of you, which obviously goes red if you're too close to the vehicle in front of you or need to brake. So that's a nice addition to the spec on this vehicle. You've of course got your active cruise control. You've got all those features over here. We're going to do it fairly quickly. You've got the center screen with Sync 3, of course, connectivity. Excellent system from Ford. I don't have to tell you too much about it. It's got everything you can possibly want. Come down, dual zone climate control, and over there, down there, you've got 2 USBs for the front seat. The 10-speed automatic gearbox I've told you about. You know the gearbox, really smooth, comfortable, efficient, all the things you can possibly want. And next to it, of course, is your controller for 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and a low range if you want. In front of it, the 2 important ones, of course, the diff lock and hill descent control, both of which I've used many, many times in the past, and they certainly are useful and comfortable, and that's important. Other than that, I've shown you, of course, the leather trim all round, the StormTrak, the leather across the dashboard with the red stitching detailing even over there, which is very, very useful. But now what StormTrak does bring to the party that I think is very useful and very nice is you've got certain very important factors. You've got 7 airbags, for example. I mentioned that one. But then you've also got, of course, certain important little factors over here that are just for the StormTrak, and that's really important. You've got an interesting thing that I can't show you on here, but for example, when you switch off the vehicle, on the screen it tells you to check for rear seat occupants. So in case you've forgotten the little ones or mother-in-law in the back seat, just that you remember that. It's obviously got rain sensing wipers, it's got auto headlights. Those are important. It's also got the auto headlights I want to mention. It's also got auto high beam that comes on when it sees the need, and also the moment it detects an approaching car, cuts them down again as well. So that's useful. I mentioned adaptive cruise control, forward alert, collision mitigation, and distance alert. So all of those are there as well. And what Ford have done slowly but surely, you may have noticed, is they've added the safety and electronic spec to the Ranger as we move along. And finally, I didn't mention just now, your maximum payload is 860 kilos, so slightly under a ton. That's not serious. Well, the bottom line is what you're going to pay for all of this, because of course this is the special edition. $846,500 for this version as we see it here right now, and that does include a 6-year 90,000 kilometer service plan as well. Ford Ranger, Toyota Hilux, Navara, Mazda BT50, and all the others now in the game as well, the GWM P series. You can take your choice of what bucky you want. You know that this is at the top of just below the Raptor, which is an off-road machine as far as I'm concerned, but certainly right at the top of the range for the Ford Rangers. And I think it comes down at the end of the day to brand loyalty more than anything else. As top level leisure double cab buckies go, you could never go wrong as far as I'm concerned. For Motor Matters, I'm Eleanor, and I'll see you next time.